Okay, so here we are, turn 5. It's the 29th of November. I'm just starting out the German movement phase, and it's already been pretty eventful. The Germans successfully fighter sweeped an American aircraft and had another full kill on this Spitfire here. So we're up to 4 full aircraft destroyed now by the German Air Force. So probably should have been more aggressive with the Allies at the start. I've been really worried to barrage the airfields at Tunis and Bizerte because of the flak value there. Bizerte would be a +4 to flak because of the level 2 airbase, and there's an intrinsic flak value to Bizerte, and Tunis is +4 and then +1 more because there's a headquarters there as well. So I was a little nervous to attack, and it's kind of come back to bite me in the ass here as the Allies. So the Germans are just in complete control of the skies, which is kind of sad because of all the tactical bombers that the Allies have, which are kind of left hanging now. There's only a couple Allied aircraft left on the board. They're inactive right now, and I think both have a step loss. So it's been a real disaster in the air. What I've also done in this turn so far, in the movement phase, we zoom in over here, we've got the motorcycle battalion has moved over here to spot where I attempted 2 hip shots on these Allied stacks that had moved up into a flanking position. Got 1 successful barrage, so it's not going to be good news for this stack here, with 10th Panzer is going to be barreling down on them very shortly, I believe. So, and really, they don't have a lot of options in terms of retreat. They've got mountain hexes around them, which are prohibited to their movement type. So that whole stack might be gone by the end of this turn. Alright, so we'll crack on with the turn and check back in. Okay, so here's our situation at the end of the German movement phase. Not a lot of activity in the center here. Up north, we had an Italian artillery regiment move into reserve mode within range of some Allied stacks here. So if the Allies try and build up for an attack at some of our positions here, we'll have something to try and slow them down with. Also opted to build a level 1 Hedgehog with the Witzig Kampfgruppe. Now, usually only headquarters can build Hedgehogs, but this unit here is engineer capable, so it's also eligible for construction. It was costly to build at 2 supply points, but I figure since we're not on the attack at the moment, and we had decent stocks, not great, but decent, that would be worth it to fortify that hex. It's really important. Since I've opted to not defend with as much depth here, because the terrain's fairly narrow, so we really want to hold that front line. Okay, so I'll go take a look at 10th Panzer here. They've moved into positions next to the Allies and are ready to counterattack. We can focus here. There we go. So I was going to do an overrun, but I just figured since we didn't get that second DG, we may as well just go for an all-out attack and hope for an exploit result so that we can attack at full strength and kind of guarantee a good result in this combat. The Axis are going to be attacking with 23.5 points here to the Allies' 4.5. So that's at a 5-1 in open, and they've got an action rating of 5 compared to the Axis, or the Allies 2. So I think we'll solve this combat now. Thing for the Allies is that they're also not within range of any supply at the moment. So they're going to have to go to low, even if they do somehow survive this attack, which I don't really see happening. Okay, so we'll roll for surprise here first. It's a +3 on the die roll, and we need a 10. Or modified to a 10. we get the surprise. And we'll see how many shifts now. 6 shifts. Okay, so that's going to put us max table. So we're at 13-1 in the open. So we'll roll 2 dice then for combat here. So we roll a 5 plus 3 becomes an 8, which becomes attacker exploit 3, defender lose 2, option 2, DG. So we're going to lose an entire stack because there is nowhere to retreat here. And we are going to be exploit capable and hopefully go against this stack here in the exploit phase. So very successful. We'll see what we lost here as the allies. If I can get it to focus, of course. Okay. Some decent armored units that really just came in. It's a real kick in the teeth, that's for sure. This camera is not focusing very well right now. Yeah, that really is a kick in the teeth for the allies. And they could be losing more now that these units are going to be attacking again. So we'll move them into that hex and we'll mark them with an exploit. Alright, so we'll check back in shortly. Okay, so here we are in the exploit phase. About 5 seconds after I stopped recording the last section of the video, because really there was nothing else to do. So we'll kind of see what's in the stack here. We're going to be at 5-1 again. We've got some artillery, a recon battalion, and 2 French tanks here. So one positive for the allies is they're going to have +1 on their surprise roll. Well, 1 higher than last time. At least they have an action rating 3 compared to 2 in the last combat. So we'll roll for surprise here on a +2. Holy shit. They get it again. So, how many shifts? 5 shifts. Wow. Top of the table again. And they roll a 7. It becomes a 9. So, that is defender lose 2, option 2. So they'll need to lose an action rating unit, which will be one of these French tanks here. They'll need to lose 1 more unit. I think we'll take it from this artillery here. And now they'll need to retreat 2 hexes to fulfill their option. And I believe they become DG as well, yes. There we go. So, I'd have to say that is a fairly successful counterattack. We've taken out 5 steps and pushed the Americans back to the river line, essentially. Haven't taken our side of the river completely yet, but we're well on our way. Let me adjust this here. Okay, so definitely successful. That was fun to do as the Germans and sad to watch as the Allies. Alright, so I think we're ready for the Allied turn now. Okay, so here we are at the end of the Allied movement phase. A few points to go over here. We'll start with the French here in the south. Their infantry is slowly moving to catch up and hopefully going to make it over to meet 10th Panzer here. I don't want to meet them now that we're out of armor, but just kind of hold them off. So hoping to win initiative. I didn't want to risk them in strat mode, just in case we don't win initiative and, you know, worst comes to worst and those panzers come rolling over the river. French HQ is set up now, with some supply there as well. You might notice I moved my British headquarters, so I just want to give a shout out to Tank Boy, who kind of recommended this hex back here for the HQ. When I moved it up, I didn't really
think about the ideal place for it. I just thought I needed tray supply to reach a certain hex, and I needed headquarters to do so. So I just kind of flung it forward, didn't really think it through. So I just shifted it back here on as if I didn't move it up last turn. So it's set up in combat mode now. From this hex, it can draw supply from bone and supply basically the entire front for fuel and combat supply. So excellent crossroads there for the headquarters to be at. The Allied Air Force is up to its old antics again so far this turn. Used a what did I use? A Hurricane and a Spitfire to attempt to fighter sweep Berserk, and both rolled a they rolled a 2 and a 4 respectively on their air-to-air combat. Luckily, they both avoided step losses, but I mean, the Allies can't get air superiority if this is the kind of rolls they're getting. So frustrating, because like if we take a look over here, there's some decent amount of bombers that really haven't done much of anything. British and a US. So it's really frustrating for the Allied player to not be able to use them effectively. Did move up some more units in the north here, and I think we may make a play at that Witzig hex, despite the hedgehog. Kind of mulling this one over. We've got a commando and 3 para battalions in this hex here, so decent strength, as well as the 78th Infantry unit there. And so we have some decent artillery in the area, which we'll be forced to use due to the fighter cover here. I don't want to risk my aircraft, just in case we can get superiority later. I don't want to lose my bombers early. The Allies are just struggling to decide whether they want to push this way or try and find a way through here. We want to do something and kind of pull the German attention away from the south, because we're a little nervous about what's going on down there. Alright, so I'll check back in after possible combats, and really should be the end of the Allied turn. Okay, so we've got a hell of a situation here. The Germans attempted to barrage this stack in the reaction phase. It was pretty obvious there was going to be an attack coming, and failed that barrage. The Brits then barraged Witzig and succeeded, getting the DG. Now, I've just rolled for combat. There was no surprise in the combat, and then rolled a 3 for the attack. So you'd think that'd be bad, but what it means is that we got an attacker lose 1, option 1, and defender option 1, which is the important part here. So if I lose 2 steps, the defender now has to take an option. So he can either lose Witzig, who was his action rating unit, which is a very important unit, especially in the north here, or retreat. But if he retreats, he can only retreat into this hex, which is in an enemy's zone of control. So he'll have to take a step loss, and this artillery unit will become DG as well, along with these units who are already DG. So our options are basically, we can hold this hex and lose Witzig, or we can retreat to here and lose this March battalion, but we're going to DG this artillery as well, and then open ourselves up for a possible Allied double turn here, which could break through here and push on to Berserk, because there's nothing in behind here. So I'm not sure what I want to do. I think the best option will probably be to hold, lose Witzig and hold this hex. I think that's what we're going to do. I don't like it, but that's, I guess, our best option. I can't believe that that's the situation we're in on a 3 in the combat roll. Insane. Anyways, I think that's it for turn. What turn are we on? Turn 5 here. Okay, so we just finished turn 5. We'll move into turn 6, which will also push us into December 1942. So I thought we'd take this time to look at the dead pile here. See how things have gone. Don't mind my writing. Alright, so you see here we've got 4 full Allied aircraft. We've got some of those tanks and artillery from turn 5 that were killed by the Germans, plus those 2 para-battalions that we just lost on turn 5. So turn 5 was not good for losses for the Allies. They did rebuild one of those tank battalions this turn as well, so that's where that one is. And the Germans here, they've got a couple Italians, 2 assault guns, and motorized infantry, and Witzig is in here now as well. So I think we'll roll for the initiative. Germans on the reds and the Allies on the whites, and see what happens here. Oh Jesus, the Germans win by 1 again. Now in December it's easier to roll a mud turn, so we will see what the weather's going to be. We'll roll 10s first. 60, 61, and that is definitely a mud turn. So going into December we've got mud, so that might be a saving grace for the Germans here. Bizerte looked under definite threat, but winning initiative and the mud overall, I guess the initiative doesn't even matter because of the mud turn. So we'll have mud on December 1st. Okay, so we just finished turn 6 as the mud turn, so nothing happened really. The Allies brought in some supplies. They had no reinforcements off map to ship in, and the Germans here shipped in elements of 10th Panzer. Don't tell the Allies, but Bizerte was entirely undefended, so there's 2 regiments from 10th Panzer in there now. So we should be okay if there's a breakthrough, at least better than we would have been. The Germans actually get a ton of reinforcements into the Sicily box on the 1st of December. There's a whole stack of Italians here in the A box, those 2 10th Panzer units, and then some more German independents here. And then there's also some stuff in the B box here, including an Italian headquarters. If we can get a few more mud turns, we have a C cap of 3 for December for the Germans. If we can get a few more mud turns and start bringing some of this stuff onto the map, the Allies are really going to have something to worry about. I think we'll roll for our weather here now and kind of see what's going to happen. Alright. So 30, if we roll we need to roll 6 here for mud. Nope, so we are just on 34, which will be no flight, but we will be playing. Alright, so now we'll roll for the initiative. Germans on the reds. And the Germans win by 1 again. Every time, I think the Germans have won by 1, yeah, on the die roll. Alright, they'll definitely take their turn. No flight's gonna kind of suck, but they're happy that they don't have to go second, that's for sure. Alright, so we'll put this up for these two turns, and then probably have a video on the next day or so for turns 7 and 8.